with Genesis chapter 1. Human evolution, we travel to other suns. No confusion, revolutions, the bulls just having fun. Got the heart, got the horns, and ready for action. We're here in the 21st century, DJed in a metaverse memory. If one team just wonders what can I be, it probably opens up the door. Ready? Run with the Bulls and Apes, so I'm feeling kinda great, staying up late, living like a DJ. Run with the Bulls and Apes, so I'm feeling kinda great, staying up late, living like a DJ. Metaversing on the weekend, living like a DJ. Gotta have that NFT.
Yes, we gotta have that NFT. What's going on? So exciting, you guys. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. We are so pumped. I'm her crypto with the Bulls and Apes Project. We're all here. We're so excited. It is time. We've all been looking forward to this. The next chapter of our lore. We've got the whole squad here. I've got, obviously, like I said, myself, her crypto. Got Carbar, Anthony, Chris D, Tankman. And we're going to bring up, we got a really fun person hanging out with us today. One of our community members, HK Strong's hanging out. What's up?
What is going on? How are you guys?
Well, I don't know. I'm excited, guys. I'm excited and I've seen it. Holy crap. You guys are just, it's going to be so crazy. It's going to be amazing. I can't, I'm beside myself. Keep going. I don't know. I'm just going to be quiet.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. I've heard very, very little about it. And I'm just pumped. I'm pumped to see where this story is going to go, where it's going to bring us, and what we're going to be working on.
Yeah. I want to actually make a comment about that because, our community members, our holders probably think, hey, the team is putting together this art or this lore and everybody knows about it. Nobody on here has seen it. Only Manny, Neo Ape, and myself have seen the final product, and our art team had some stuff to do with it, but they don't have it in context. So the fact that we've kept this secret from you guys, just for me, it's like the parent that wrapped all those presents at Christmas and I put them under the tree, and now we get to watch you guys unopen them. I'm so excited for this. I love the lore. I've watched chapter 1 through 4, no joke, at least 20 times. I have lost count about that time. And this is adding such another whole layer to our project with the tokenomics, with the apes are coming. I mean, the sneak peek of a sneak peek. I'm so excited. Oh,
listen, I'm so pumped. And, it's 100% true what you just said, because even I have not seen it. So I got it, you sent it to me. It's uploaded. We got it ready to go. And I started downloading it to my computer, and then I left. And then I put it down there, and I was like, I am not watching it. It's sitting here because I'm going to experience this with everyone else too. I'm so excited. I can't wait.
I know. Evan just posted in Slack. We were watching. Did you see his comment? Dang, secrets.
I know.
I love
Tank, you and Anthony spent all week together. I can't believe you didn't spill the beans at some point about something.
It was hard. It was hard because I remember on Monday it was Monday or Tuesday, I watched chapter 5 to do a final review on it, to give Manny my feedback and any corrections. And then we were all the way until this morning. I watched chapter 6 just to make sure we were dialed in. And everything was good. We're golden. So everything, and chapter 7's coming and chapter 8's coming. So it's super exciting that we've got all these chapters that are coming. I talked about on
Tankonomics.
Yeah,
no,
that we've got these chapters that are already being laid out to talk about our lore and our roadmap. So it's super exciting. But I'm so excited for chapter 5 tonight, you guys. Chapter 5 is just freaking off the hook. It's going to be so cool.
So
I know.
So HK, how about the community? What's the community saying about the chapters?
Oh man, it has been on fire. The second that graphic dropped, apes incoming, it just went crazy. Everybody in all of the Twitter message boards, on Twitter itself, in the Discord. I mean, people are freaking out. I can just imagine Marcus just walking back and forth. He's like, I don't know what to do. What's going on? I don't know what my strategy is. I think we are all, in the same boat as him. We're amped. People are pumped.
We got breaking news has happened. Breaking news.
Invasion imminent.
Yes. When is it happening? Everyone's so excited. The comments, everyone's just like, okay, we're done. We're like, let's go. Let's get started. We're ready. But what are we gonna do today, guys? We're gonna watch through 1 through 4 first, right? We're gonna rewatch, get everyone caught up. It's been a little bit. I mean, chapter.
Not for Gary.
No, not for me. I watched chapter 4 of the weekend, or 1 through 4 over the weekend, so I'm caught up again.
I'm not gonna lie, I watched it before this space because I wanted to be prepared. I've seen it. I don't even know how many times now, but I'm.
Yep, it's cool. So yeah, chapter 1 through 4. We'll watch that. We'll get the pump going. We'll come back. Let's just do a quick recap on it, what we thought, and then we'll jump into chapter 5. It's gonna be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's your cue, you guys. You've got some time. You can go get your popcorn, go get a drink, get your water, get whatever you need. We're gonna watch 1 through 4, come back, and then we're gonna get into chapter 5. So here we go, you guys. Let's go chapters 1 through 4. This is so good. If you're getting ready to watch this, let's stream it up on the TV or put your earbuds in, right, guys?
Let's go.
Genesis.
All right.
Humanity and technology grew for thousands of years, expanding into entirely new fields of possibility and potential. Humans upgraded themselves, merging with machines and possessing powers that we today would consider godly. Over eons of evolution, they eventually reached the end of their evolutionary cycle, able to harness and control energy and matter at will, achieving great harmony with the universe. They traveled and observed civilizations on distant planets as they grew in their own ways, watching as the cycles of life shifted and adapted, always distant observers from afar. But there was one among them with ambitious and visionary intent. He loved to shapeshift and mingle with life forms, blending into their worlds and living amongst them. He became a historical figure in many of the planet's timelines, offering knowledge and technology that accelerated their evolutions. Yet, he yearned for more. He wanted to start from scratch, to build his own species and guide them from the very start. In all his time living among countless species, there was one creature that he came to love the most, the bull. The bulls were proud and strong creatures. They had large hearts with a natural affinity to protect their kin. He fell in love with their shape, with the strength of their horns, and the dual nature of their soft grazing that could shift in a single moment to great and awesome power. They were perfect to start this new world. On a new planet, he channeled all his energy into an explosion of creation that instantly formed an impenetrable mountain that reached beyond the clouds, with 9,999 unique bulls at its base who would form his ideal society. He let his creativity pour out, and his will began to splice and merge with the bulls' genetics, altering them and making them grow into bipedal walkers, changing the hue of their furs into bright and beautifully flamboyant shades. He crystallized their horns, made some solid gold and others rough like the rock of magma. He made some unbreakable glass that, when reflected in the light of day, contained thousands of refracting rainbows. There were combinations and genetic splices of textures, materials, and colors that never would have existed in natural evolution. While they were each a deep part of him, down to their very DNA, they were all free to develop into their true selves and live freely. He used the last remnants of his power to shapeshift from being the creator to becoming one of them, so that he could live anonymously amongst them and watch his children as they evolved into his ultimate vision. Chapter 2. Guilds and Teens. As the thick mist and electrical charges from the creator's blast subsided, a giant mountain began to reveal itself, towering above the bulls and passing through the clouds. Each bull was born with one of 4 birthmarks on the bottom of their feet, and whilst they all acted and looked the same, there was a slight deviation within the string of their genetics. Of the nearly 10,000 bulls that had been born, they instinctively separated into 4 equal-numbered guilds based on the marks they found beneath their feet. It was all part of the grand plan the Creator had for their civilization. The 4 guilds exited the base of the mountain at different entrances, each marking the cardinal directions of north, south, east, and west, and over time each guild grew bright and blossoming cities. These cities were magnificent works of art. Giant buildings rose high into the sky in bright colors of oranges, greens, gold, and blues. The bulls took on expressive and unique personalities, free to do as they pleased, each bull ingrained with the impulse to follow their passions. It was common to see groups of musicians performing on street corners, singing and playing their hearts out. There were sports arenas integrated openly into the city. Every bull was allowed to do as they pleased, and a thriving and booming economy grew out of it. With no restraints on their free will, the bulls were able to thrive in a way that humanity never was. They didn't have to work behind a desk doing mindless jobs. The world was the bulls to play with, however they felt called. Over time, as scientists and philosophers grew amongst them, they yearned to know the answer to how they could reproduce. The leading minds of the 4 cities came together, and they soon discovered a beautiful secret hidden in their genes. They discovered within their DNA a method of genetically engineering a new bull. By merging the DNA of 2 bulls from the same guild within a highly advanced incubator, they were able to do the impossible. As the incubated bull burst to life, it took on a completely unexpected form. An entirely new species of bull was born. They were taller, more energetic, and unpredictable to say the least. The incubator had accelerated their growth. They were teens. As more and more teen bulls were born, it became obvious that they were the hallmark for change and evolution within their world. And it was these teen bulls that wanted to expand their cities and come together. They offered new, drastic ideas and sought to grow to new heights. And it was among one of them, a fearless and adventurous teen, who uncovered a secret atop the mountain of creation. Chapter 3. Gods are Born. One of the teen bulls, known as Red, was bound for adventure and summited the great mountain of creation for the first time in bull history. Beyond the clouds, Red located a hidden entrance where he found a large, flat, glowing stone at its center, inscribed with mysterious runes. The teen worked tirelessly to decode it, and eventually the secrets inscribed there became clear to him. The runes depicted the next stage of their evolution, an evolution towards the very powers of the Creator himself. But in order for this evolution to take place, a great sacrifice had to be made. The teen bull had to willingly give up his physical form with the promise of eternal life and the key to the next stage in their evolution. Red was brave and proud and sacrificed his physical form with no hesitation. A bright beacon shot into the sky as soon as it was done, and it could be seen from each of the 4 cities. The teen bulls from each guild were the first to respond to the call, as if a tribal drumbeat in the very fabric of their bones. They rushed to the top of the mountain via a stairway that had not previously existed, to find a floating orb hovering above the runestone. The energy orb was the ethereal remains of Red, who had given up his physical form, and he transmitted the knowledge to the rest of the teens. They knew what to do now. A teen bull from each of the 4 guilds gathered and simultaneously placed their hands upon the merger orb. In an instant, they were twisted into a vortex of swirling energy that created a burst of dazzling light. Their forms merged, and when at last the light dimmed, a godly presence stood before the rest of the bulls at the top of the mountain peak. The first of the God Bulls was born, alive and glowing with elemental energy. They possessed a power greater than any of the bulls had ever seen. The God Bull could harness the element it was born into, and as more gods were born, they took on different powers, based on the cosmic balance they were born to uphold. Chapter 4. Order and Chaos. With the birth of the God Bull, a primal surge sparked a new wave of celebration and unity for most within the 4 guild cities. Subject 1, now known by everybody simply as S1, and the first teen to ever be born, felt this primal energy in a different way. Something unknown called out to him to explore beyond the boundaries of the city. He had this new and obsessive craving to uncover more about his origin. This unknown calling gnawed at him, until he eventually disobeyed the laws of the Bulls and left his guild and brothers behind to search the vastly unexplored land that surrounded the mountain of creation. He couldn't explain why he needed so badly to leave, but it excited him to traverse new and entirely unexplored terrain. At first, it was easy, but the further he got away from the 4 cities, the harsher the terrain got. It was after weeks of travel and ascending a range of sharp, snowy mountain peaks that he found himself spotting a shimmer amidst the snow. His eyes widened as he beheld an alien vessel half buried in the snow. As he stepped towards it, the vessel seemed to respond to his presence, and from the seamless wall, a door materialized, revealing the inside of a spacecraft. S1 knew that this is what had been calling him all along. He stepped inside to see a metallic orb miraculously suspended mid-air with glowing symbols etched into it, resembling guild marking all Bulls had on their feet. This had to be the Creator's craft. S1 reached out and touched the orb, causing it to spin quickly and erupt with a burst of holographic displays. Before him, on multiple screens, images started playing. Images of beings he had never seen before. They were wearing all sorts of strange garments, unique to everyone. S1 sat down and watched the history of humanity unfold before his very eyes. Weeks went by as he learned as much as he could at a pace beyond belief. For reasons unknown, he could absorb and retain information from all holograms at once. The technology was mind-boggling. He watched until suddenly the video changed, and he was staring at a familiar face of a godly-looking being that he had never seen before, and yet couldn't shake the feeling that he knew who it was. And as the footage unraveled, his eyes widened as he watched the Creator spark the life of everything he now knew. Mystified and in awe, S1 collected the hologram device, which he dubbed the Genesis Sphere, and took the long journey back to the 4 cities. S1 brought the Genesis Sphere to a high-tech arena and displayed it for all to witness. The arena became a museum, displaying the history of humanity and the origin of their creation. Having been mixed with their creator's DNA, the Bulls had a genetic affinity to all that they saw within the old footage. The Bulls quickly took to making the clothes, outfits, and uniforms to match what they saw in the videos. They fell in love with the beauty and diversity of the 20th and 21st centuries of humanity. The styles mesmerized them, and most quickly fashioned outfits without any real knowledge as to their primary function. Suddenly, there were Bulls wearing pirate outfits, drinking coffee, or lounging with others dressed in police uniforms, chef hats, superhero costumes, and even kingly robes. Bulls wore football gear, headpiece and all, while having breakfast with samurai. Their creativity and love for fashion boomed, and soon all 4 guilds had over half of their population in clothing from various time periods in human history, and it became a show of pride to the point of near religion for a Bull to wear new outfits daily, regardless of what they were doing. They let their creativity unfold and mismatched various attires, some sporting bathrobes while also wearing sailors' hats and gold chains. Others carried surfboards while wearing cosplay headgear and creative t-shirts. Not all Bulls, however, took to this new craze, and roughly half the population chose to remain closer to their roots, keeping themselves free of clothing. The Creator, who walked amongst them, observed them with an odd fascination. Even as there was a split in opinions on clothing, the Creator noticed that, unlike humanity, no conflict arose out of it. He had watched many a human fight over lesser matters, but the Bulls seemed content with whatever their brothers chose. While the new spark initiated a change in their fashion, that was only a surface-level alteration. The Bulls had grown content, and the strive for further progress seemed to vanish. The Creator teleported to a lab deep within Creation Mountain and watched as his creations, driven by their programmed DNA, slowly began to fall into a state of fulfillment with no strong drive to advance their civilization. The Creator saw an error in his dream. In his striving for a perfect civilization, he had tipped the scales of balance too far into serenity. The truth of the universe was that it needed both chaos and order to survive. One could not exist without the other. The creator realized the error in his ways. Deep change was needed. The emotions the Bulls rarely displayed, like anger and rage, were catalysts that evoked transformation. Civilization needed conflict to grow. As he was analyzing the strands of DNA within the Bulls, he found that they did have the possibility for conflict, but only when called to protect themselves or those a Bull cared about. Therein lied the secret. The Bulls were happy with themselves. They were loyal to a fault and had no deep conflicts with their kin. They needed conflict and rivalry. The creator knew what he had to do.
Woo!
Oh, yeah.
Holy
Oh, yeah.
moly! Oh my god! I'm like, oh, I'm so excited.
All right, let's go. Let's go.
Let's go.
We don't have to talk, do we?
Oh.
Nobody wants to hear us.
I know, huh? Well, hey,
Oh
listen.
my gosh.
So, I mean, dude, I have chills, and I've watched this 20 times, and I still freaking get chills. I'm gonna tell you, the chills are going to freaking continue. But listen, when we started this intro, I told you how we've already mapped out, 4 more chapters of the lore, and I said how I previewed chapter 5 and chapter 6. If you guys noticed what I said, I previewed chapter 6 this morning. So, shall we do it?
Let's do it.
You want to
We're
do
gonna
it?
drop some alpha.
Let's
So
talk
ready.
about, we're gonna do chapter 5 and 6.
Ooh,
Chapter 5
What?
and
let's
6.
go.
Okay.
Oh my
But
god!
check it out. So we just watched 14 minutes of lore. I'm just giving everybody a heads up. So we're giving you this time to go get a potty break, go get something to drink, go get some popcorn, because chapter 5 and 6 combined is 23 minutes.
Whoa.
23
Yes.
Yes. So it's
Let's
going
go.
to be, well, is that 150% more, 150% of what we just watched, right? 50% more than what we just watched.
That's why you do the tokenomics. I know.
I know.
Always
I
the
know.
numbers.
Sorry.
It's just longer.
It's just longer.
It's longer.
But yeah, it's 23 minutes. So go get something to drink. I mean, what do you guys think? We've been building this for a while. It's been, how long has it been since we released chapter 4? It's been 2 months, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a
2
while.
months. 2 months. So we have a lot. I mean, we talked about the apes coming, and so much has transpired in that time, right? I mean, you can see in this, we introduced the bulls. I mean, the God bulls, right? So the God bulls were introduced. Were they introduced in this one? I'm losing my mind.
Yeah. The guy.
Yes.
I'll talk. I'll talk.
I can't talk. Oh.
Yeah, but I thought it was it was like a throwback, right? So we wanted to explain why the randomness with the clothing, and so bringing that all to life in a lore like that, and we see it in all collections, right? And there's all funky different mismatches, and it was important to us going into Mint that we explained it. There was a reason for it, and we were able to bring that to life. And so even taking me back to April when we were talking about that, or March, or whenever it was, it feels like ancient history, and it's just amazing how far that we've come as a project, and to be able to see that memorialized in the lore, it actually memorializes the journey that we've been on with the project. And so it was really cool to see.
Oh my God, I know. I mean, Chris D, what do you think, man? I mean, we hosted that the last one we hosted when we did chapter 1 through 3, and then we dropped 4 or whatever. I mean, I'm losing it.
Yeah, it's gonna be
think,
good. I'm waiting to get the chills again. I got my flannel, my little undershirt on. I'm all cozy and ready to ready to be blown away. It's exciting about how long it's gonna be too. This is cool.
Yep. And Carbar, crazy, huh?
Yeah, this is great. I'm pumped. I'm ready for it.
I know. HK, man, special guest.
Oh man, yeah, I'm super amped, Anthony. I loved what you just said, because as I was watching this video just now, I was thinking, how cool is it that we have an explanation as to why they're wearing all this funky stuff? You have all these other projects, and it seems like they've got who knows what going on, but we have story behind it. And I've tweeted out so many times, I love backstory on our bulls. It's so fun. I make up stories for for all my bulls.
That's great.
That's so cool.
And that I'm excited to see that at some point here. People are going to get attached, already attached to certain bulls, and then bringing those to life in side stories. And that's the fan fiction portion of the Bulls and Apes that I've always been excited to see where the community takes their creativity.
Yeah, super cool. I've been watching in the chats. I guess we have some community members that are broadcasting this on big screen TVs. So for all of you guys out there that have put this on your large screen, Anthony and I are at a conference, a business conference this week, learning and educating ourselves. So we're sitting in a hotel room on our laptop. But trust me, if I was not in a hotel room, this would be on my big screen TV at home. Yeah. So I envy you guys for doing that on your TV. I'm going to go home and I'm going to rewatch it on my TV. But awesome for you guys to be doing that. Yeah. So, I mean, are we ready? Do we just want to jump in?
Yeah, I think we're ready.
I think we should talk for at least 5 or 10
5 more minutes. Yeah, definitely. I know. Just everyone, make sure you're hitting that like button, and we are going to jump into chapters now. We just found out 5 and 6. I'm so excited right now. My heart's racing. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to stand it. But we're going to go ahead and get started. You guys ready? Hold on to your seats because we're going to let's go.
Let's do it.
Woo!
Chapter 5 Invasion. Derred, a rebellious teen, slipped from the city confines. The city walls were not easily surpassed, but Derred figured out a route through some of the smaller drain pipes that completely went unguarded. He jumped from a larger pipe onto the wide open fields beyond the walls. Silver trails of comets fell through the sky, and Derred smiled, basking in the fresh air, when something in the distance caught his eye. His head quirked, and his eyes strained to make it out. There was a bright light on the flat of the distant horizon. It glowed a wild amethyst purple. Derred's ears perked, and his senses began to peak, hair standing on end. There was nothing beyond the 4 cities that could produce a light that bright. He stood in disbelief, trying to strain his eyes to see the source of that strange light, but he couldn't make it out from such a distance. Derred glanced back to the walls before dropping his bottle, turning back to the light, and began jogging. Curiosity piqued in him, and he used that energy to propel him into a full-on run. The vast open plains were easy to traverse, but it still took nearly an hour to get across the expanse and draw near enough to see what was happening. A strange sense of fear arose as he saw the light source. It glowed and shifted in odd angles, revealing what appeared to be a tear in the fabric of time and space itself. Then, from the glow of this strange rift, something stepped out. Derred ducked behind a large boulder, spying on the figure that emerged. It was unlike anything Derred had ever seen before. A bipedal creature with an odd face and large ears. He wore a patch over one eye that only partially covered a scar that ran the entire length of his face. The creature inhaled and smiled, flashing sharp canines. Then, from behind him, a troop emerged from the portal. Wild shrieks and cries rose as this band of strange creatures poured in. Hundreds of them at first, then thousands. They were smaller than the first creature Derred saw, about his height, and each adorned with various equipment and weapons. Some carried primitive spears, wearing shoulder pads and loin guards made of wood and debris. Others held chainsaws over their shoulder, equipped with Spartan-like helms and dual-wielding swinging maces. They were speaking in a strange language that Derred couldn't understand, but the name of the giant being became apparent. The thousands of creatures pouring through the portal began worshipping the larger one and repeatedly chanted his name. Vile, vile, vile. The sound of all of them together was deafening, and it rose a terror in Derred. He stumbled away from the boulder, suddenly feeling the need to retreat into the darkness. He needed to inform the gods and his brethren. These did not look like the sort of beings who wanted peace. The bulls were in danger. Derred turned and fled, leaving the horrible sight behind him, and made straight for the 4 cities without turning back. Whilst the bulls had never met another sentient race, Vile, king of the apes, had seen countless worlds. He stood triumphantly after another successful battle, and a familiar thrill rose in his blood as his troop of apes surrounded him. He wielded a device, holding the portal open for his forces to pass through. This world had appeared on the device seemingly out of nowhere. It was constantly scanning the cosmos for new and inhabited planets. A mere moments after their latest scavenge, the indicator light had started flashing before opening a portal on its own. It was a complicated device that Vile did not fully understand. He had scientists who had researched it and had learned it could open a single portal with the push of a button, or, on rare occasions, as it had just done to bring him here, the device would open a random portal on its own. He did not need to know how it worked, or why a random portal would open, for it never failed to bring him directly to where he needed to be. Narrowing his eyes, Vile set his sights across the plains, locking in on the lights emerging from the distant cities he could see on the horizon. They were so far away that they appeared to be nothing more than sparkling towers, like stars in the night. He had risen this band of sniveling apes into a powerful force of warriors, and for the past many decades they had been moving from world to world, invading sentient species and scavenging from the remains of the crumbled civilizations they had lain to waste. To Vile, this world was just another place to conquer, another step to even greater heights. He exhaled powerfully and leaped to the top of a nearby boulder. Vile was formidable, standing nearly twice as tall as the rest of the apes. His strength and power were one of the several things that had secured his place as their alpha. Taking a moment to view his troop in all their glory, he shrieked a moment later, calling the apes to attention and banging his fists on his armored chestplate. There was no time for rest, no time to waste. Vile cried out and ordered his troop forward, and with terrifying speed, the apes began to head for the nearest city. Back in the city of the Bulls, Derek had gone directly to officials. They summoned the God Bulls to the city from the Mountain of Creation. After an eternity to Derek, the God Bulls finally entered the chamber, each of their steps sending a thunder of vibrations through the room. Derek was in awe at witnessing them in person. They were incredible, and at the same time, terrifying. Their eyes were like fiery orbs, and as they gazed down upon him, it felt like they were staring right into his soul. Waiting for Derek to speak, the ice god leaned forward and let out a booming huff. Derek shook himself out of his silence, bumbling for a moment, and then told them what he had seen. The God Bulls communed with one another, their powerful voices deep and low. The gods had used their enhanced senses to know the truth for themselves, but by then, it was too late. Like a dark wave of locusts in the night, the apes stormed the northern city. The guards had only just managed to sound the alarms before being swarmed by vicious, biting and weapon-swinging apes. They were brutal and broke through the northern gate like it was nothing. The Bulls had never faced another race, never even communed with any other being other than their own. They did not even know what race or being these horrible creatures were. To the Bulls, the apes were monstrous aliens, and by the time the sun rose in the morning, the northern city had fallen. All those who survived had retreated into the sanctity of their brother cities. The apes decimated and stripped it of everything it had, taking it and the northern methane fields as their stronghold. The Bulls had never faced conflict within their kind, but something inside their blood triggered and boiled as they saw the smoke rising from the northern city. The Bulls were mighty and proud and would not stand for this. They would fight and protect their kind with all the might their horns could muster. The gods sounded the horns of calling and gathered every bull in the central arena at the base of the Mountain of Creation. They revealed the truth of the attack, and the mention of the alien foes sent a wild thrill of outrage throughout the population. The teens felt a sudden shift in their desires, standing taller and answering the call to protect their brothers. They would not allow a band of monkeys to interfere with their brethren. The gods began to plan their strategy. The fortresses of the 3 remaining cities were positioned with great advantage. They had high walls and had the upper ground. But as the gods deliberated, they realized that while their horns and size were mighty, they did not have enough weapons to arm every bull. The bulls would need every advantage they could get if they were to survive the coming horde. So, As night quickly turned into day, the gods acted as generals, setting up a great battalion of bulls outside the gates and placing bulls with projectile weapons atop the towers. The alien scourge approached, with their leader Vile at the forefront. He raised his arms and howled, sharp canines flashing in a jeering grin, riling them up for another run at the remaining cities. This time, it would be the West City. Most of the defending bulls had moved from the other cities to help defend against the approaching ape horde. This time around, the bulls knew the apes were coming. The gods bellowed their warning as the vast army of apes approached, but Vile did not heed a single word before screaming out and ordering the attack. The apes charged, and as they did, it was evident that they drastically outnumbered the bulls. But the bulls would not back down, answered with bellowing war cries of their own, and charged in with horns held low, battering through the apes like bowling pins. The first charge seemed to be to the bulls' advantage. However, many of the bulls were ill-equipped, and the apes were cunning and agile, while also seasoned soldiers. In addition, many of the apes carried weaponry the bulls had never seen before. The bulls and apes fought their first battle for days, with the tide shifting and turning back and forth. But on the last day, the apes found the advantage, driving the bulls back into the pen of their fortress like cattle. The bulls sealed their gates and took up positions, preparing themselves for a siege defense. For this, the apes were unprepared and withdrew after many of their numbers fell as they tried to scale the sides of the city. The walls were too steep and smooth for the apes to ascend, try as they might, and Vile called them back to regroup and strategize. The first city had fallen so quickly, but the second city was proving to be more of a challenge for Vile. While the bulls had just managed to escape, a major problem soon became evident. The apes' troops now occupied the fields of land upon which most of the bulls' methane was harvested, the very ore that fueled the city's energy production. Meth was in everything they used. It powered their electricity, their food mills, their technology. And most of their bulls were hitting zero breed, a term used amongst their kind to name when a donor bull had reached his maximum genetic capacity for breeding. Zero breed left many of their bulls in horrible fatigue, making them not only unable to work the methane fields, but unable to produce new teens. They were in a quickly rising crisis, and the apes were relentless and knew they could starve the bulls out of their precious energy. Days would go by with not a drop of action, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, the apes would start an assault on the city. The process would repeat itself with no end in sight. The siege drew on for weeks, and the bulls were near the breaking point. They needed to find a solution, or their race would fall. The god bulls withdrew into the deep chambers of the mountain of creation. These chambers resonated with the powerful energy of the crystalline methane that seemed to concentrate greatly within the mountain itself. Originally, the gods were solitary creatures, aiding when needed and rarely intermingling with their neighboring gods within the mountain. But with the press of conflict on their borders, they were forced to come together and figure out a way to defeat Vile and his horde of apes. Each of the 11 god bulls was so different and unique in their powers and ideals that it had never occurred to them to join forces. But when they did come together, something unexpected happened. Together, they were able to push one another to new heights. Together, they deliberated, meditated, and began to unlock new and powerful secrets they would never have come to on their own. They combined their minds in a great state of meditation and were empowered by the energy within the mountain. Their minds soared into the underworld, the place of knowledge beyond the mortal realm. Additional weeks went by, and the siege continued. Vile continued to occupy his permanent war camp with his troop of apes on the fields outside the cities. They lived there, planning and ordering more and more attacks upon the bulls, some of the soldiers finding their way past the wall and unleashing their ape fury on the bulls within. Being defeated by the apes was no longer a nightmare in the minds of every bull. It was a reality, and only a matter of time now. It was on the 5th week when suddenly the gods returned from their journey into the underworld. Their eyes glowed with bright flames of knowledge. They had news. What they were about to tell the bulls would change everything. Chapter 6. Discoveries. With the urgency and conflict, the God Bulls dove deeper into their nature to uncover new secrets even they had not known. They had returned from the mountain of creation, each God Bull coming back with different levels of power and atonement, but all having learned the same lessons. During their time in the Beyond, the God Bulls discovered 3 incredible secrets hidden within their genetics. The first of those powers had to do with the issue of breeding. Many donor bulls could not recover to their original potential once they hit their zero breed status, making them inefficient in taking up arms against the apes. When donor bulls offered their genetic code to create a team, the extraction process was extremely taxing on the bulls' bodies, making it incredibly dangerous to do so more than 3 times. But the God Bulls now had a solution: a harnessed energy that repaired and replenished the breeding genetics of these bulls. With this divine energy, not only were the once fatigued bulls able to recover and join the fight, but they could offer themselves for breeding again. For those bulls not lucky enough to be blessed by this godly power, the scientists managed within weeks to develop a serum that, when injected, revitalized the bulls, making them stronger and more powerful than they ever had been before, even with zero breeds. The fatigue of multiple genetic breed extractions was now a thing of the past. Instead, the zero breed bulls became super workers, more productive than most bulls. This was fantastic news for the bulls, allowing them to infuse their army with more teens constantly. The bulls were lucky that a full-grown team could be lab created in days, but the teens were just empty shells after creation, like newborn puppies. The knowledge transfer technology could take a newly generated team and infuse them with decades of information and training. The advanced machinery from the creator made this all happen in under 2 weeks. The entire procedure could have a brand new team ready to be a citizen and even fighting within a month. Of course, the apes did not know this technology was possible. The biggest problem for the bulls was that the breeding technology took a lot of valuable methane energy to run. Since the fields were occupied in war, they needed to find another solution to gather their methane. The truth was that the God Bulls had been well aware of the incredible treasure trove of highly potent meth crystals that lay deep within the glowing veins in the mountain, but they had been unable to access it. The mountain of creation's rock was impenetrable. The mountain was made of unminable bedrock that shattered even their sharpest drills. But in the great forge of the mountain's creation, thousands of tiny tunnels and tributaries ran all through it. The bulls had tried to navigate these tunnels before, but their bodies had been too large to fit through them properly. At this point, the teens, who had never been very interested in helping out before, with their newly invigorated passions, realized that they were the perfect size to squeeze through the tunnels. So, the God Bulls created a device to help them navigate the dark and near impenetrable depths of the mountain that only they, the teens, could reach. A methane machine was created and given to the teens, who rose at the chance to help aid in the war efforts. With methane machines in hand, the teens began to pour into the tunnels, using the machines to pinpoint and find the large veins of purple methane crystals that were exposed, mining them and bringing the ore back to the cities through a series of underground tunnels. The bulls no longer had to risk their lives by venturing into the ore fields at night that apes patrolled. Thanks to the teens, they were generating more methane ore than they had ever had in all of bull history. But they didn't stop there. The teens knew that there was more for them, more in their DNA they could access. They wanted to help the gods seek this knowledge, and as the months of siege went on, an occult group of 8 bright teen bulls formed. These were young teens who stood out from the others. They had a special gift that allowed them to feel beyond what we see and into what they called the underworld. The God Bulls had taken notice and worked closely with them on various discoveries related to this underworld. Not all bulls liked this practice. These teens hid their identities and dressed in dark cloaks around the God Bulls. They were the original 8 who had embarked on the terrifying venture of actually journeying to the underworld in a process known as sacrificing. When repeated in abundance, it was an undertaking that caused their eyes to glow like those of the God Bulls. It wasn't long before everybody knew them as the Sacrificers. The Sacrificers could witness the energy of their fallen Bull brothers. They combined their knowledge with the God Bull's power to resurrect previously sacrificed teens. But there had to be a balance for this to work. To pull energy from the underworld, energy had to first be put in. A resurrection required a living teen to give himself freely to the underworld. Then, the Sacrificers could guide teens to the underworld for the swapping process. The reward for later being resurrected was they would be granted heightened powers and newfound knowledge, additional vigor and strength, and one striking ability that stood out. They could all trace the presence of the ever-important methane crystals without the need of a methane machine. As a result, many teens felt compelled to dive into this temporary death themselves, hoping they could return with this elusive knowledge should they find the path toward resurrection. It was a significant risk, for nothing ensured that a teen would find their way back to the land of the living. With the pieces in place, 7 of the 11 God Bulls returned to the Mountain of Creation to offer the powers they had just revealed. The other 4 God Bulls, each of a different guild, remained, helping guide the cities during the war. They were officially called the Council of the Four Directions and would lead the path to victory. Amongst the population, these 4 gods became known more simply as the Compass. Observing from his ship, the Creator watched all of this unfold. The Bulls, who had once grown complacent, were suddenly thrown into great leaps of technological advancement and personal evolution. All it had taken was a little push into conflict. Their methane production hit record high levels, and they could now afford to start forging new weapons, tech, and even teens. The tides of war were looking better, but they were still massively outnumbered. The Creator had surprisingly underestimated the colossal numbers of apes that Vile pulled through the portal. Vile had never summoned this many troops in the past. Even with everything the Creator observed that the Bulls were doing right, it appeared the odds were significantly stacked against them. It was an almost insurmountable possibility that the Bulls would win. All his work with the Bulls would end if Vile succeeded. The Creator could intervene. No. The Creator had vowed to himself he would not interfere with the outcome of this process. He had interfered once before, long before the Bulls, and it ultimately led to a failed civilization. This time, it would be different. He had to see where both his creations, failed and new, would end up on their own. His Bulls and Apes project needed to continue unimpeded. Meanwhile, on the Apes warfront, there was great unrest. Their numbers were beginning to dwindle beyond what Vile was comfortable with. The Apes were not used to long, drawn-out sieges, and many grew tired of fighting. Some grew tired of Vile. He ruled with fear and power, swiftly punishing anyone who opposed him. Many of the apes feared not only his power, but the technology he hoarded. Of all the places they conquered, Vile saved the most advanced technology and mighty weapons for himself. But a powerful ape had caught wind of the whispers of discontent amongst their camps and secretly began to form a large following of rebels. Her name was Ava, and if she had her way, Vile was about to have a terrible week.
OMG.
Yes.
Oh my
I
gosh.
just like fixed my hair. I'm sitting here like,
Where's that gif of the guy's head going? When you
Yeah,
did.
that's it. Well,
Oh my God, there's so much.
there's so much to unpack here, and I don't know. I think I've got to watch these ahead of time from now on because I was getting like knots in my stomach as I'm watching. I'm like, wait, what does that mean to us? Like, what do we got to do?
Oh my gosh.
I told you, Anthony, we got something to talk about.
Chainsaws to bulls with weapons to I don't know, Tank Man, an ice god, 11 gods. Can you explain yourself, please?
Woo! I don't know. Can I explain myself? I don't know.
I don't know.
Wait
Maybe
and see.
Yeah, maybe we should have a conversation first.
Yeah.
I am so shook. I like stopped breathing for so long. I was like, oh my gosh.
We should have taken a break in between 5 and 6 because now there's so many things. Her crypto, I should have been taking notes in my notebook so I can remember what I wanted to go back and talk about.
Well, how about chainsaws?
Yeah, right. The first thing I saw was chain. I was like, wait. That guy's got a chainsaw. What are we looking at?
Oh my God, you guys, there are so many. I'll tell you, I have to go back and watch it to really parse it because there's some Easter eggs in there. I'll tell you right now. Stuff that I didn't notice that, man, he called me up. He's like, did you see this? Did you see that? And I'm like, no, how did I miss that? So you guys, it's, oh my God.
Yes,
my heart's beating.
Chainsaws. Then you got Ava coming in at the end, which is just incredible. So it's just been, there's a lot to unpack there.
So many new characters. So many. I was like, I'm trying to I need all these names. Hold on. Who's this? What's this?
Well, and then the part that I love the most is, and I saw some of the comments in there that, this is why there's a compass, and this is why people like, no. You guys are the reason why there's a compass in the story.
Yep.
That's
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was a fun process. Being able to go back with Manny when we sat down he wrote most of it, but when I was helping with it, we were bouncing ideas to be able to incorporate all these things that we brought to the community now in the lore to memorialize that and to create a story around it. And it's cool because you take all these cool utilities that we have and now there seems to be a reason for it. It's like we've just validated why we have it and what it is. And then like Anthony said, the whole compass thing, that I'm going to tell you right now, I did not know he was putting that in there. That was, he left some nuggets even for me. And that was one I'm like, dude, that was so cool to be able to just like extract that and just provide that like that. It's just awesome.
I love that the community is helping shape this with us. And that's the part, just me as being a collector in other communities, like to know that the actions that I would be taking are actually being watched by the project team, and then it's actually affecting what we're delivering and how we're telling the story. I think that's it's just a cool little touch.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people talk about storytelling in NFTs, and it became, like right now there's always like something happens, that's all people talk about for a week. But weeks ago, storytelling NFT, and that was like the type of NFT. It was a storytelling NFT. I think this is how you do it. I think the community starts painting a picture and the project listens and then they tell that story back to the people that wrote it. I think this was amazing. It was so cool.
I agree with that.
Very cool. And now we know the sacrificers and why we have sacrificers. I think that's super cool. This unknown character and how many they are. Yeah.
Eight. That means we're not done. There's more out
There's
there.
4 more left.
Yeah.
I meant a team tonight, you guys. Come on.
Let's go.
Yep. And the Zero Breed Bulls, I love how that Zero Breed Bulls worked, and they're tired and then whatever, and then they get that extra power. And oh my God, so much to unpack.
I heard my wife and my daughters cheer from the basement when they showed Ava.
Nice.
Hey, oh my God, she's
We're
so
downstairs, not
cool
the
looking. Yeah, she's so amazing. Like she's like, yeah, and I love it. If she had it her way, he'd have the worst week of his life.
Sounds about right.
I know, and she's fierce with that sword. Oh my God, that's badass.
Super dope. Oh my gosh, so much. I was just like, something would happen, and I'd be like, what? And I'm just like, Ice God? What is that? Who? I'm definitely gonna have to watch
on behalf of the entire community, how do we get an Ice God?
What is this?
Hey, one thing I do want to ask everybody who's watching right now, because I know when people are in chat on these lives, it's fun to feel like you're commenting, you're posting on the video, but it's only in chat. So if you will, go to the comment section of the video, not the live chat, the comment section. Let us know what your favorite thing was from what you just saw, what new things, and then we're going to take your feedback and make a bunch of dope content for the Bulls and Apes project. So we need to hear what you thought was the dopest, and then we're going to go listen to that and make that content. Thank you.
And make sure you definitely like this video. But we are Chris is he's got the chapter 5 and 6. Those are going to be uploaded when we're done with this live. You guys, there are Easter eggs in there. So go back and watch it. Get on there and watch it. That actually helps us as well because the algorithm recognizes those rewatches or the watch initially. So since we're doing this on a live, those native videos that we're going to post, we want to get you guys in there. So definitely go in there and like those and watch them. Let's drive this out there. Let's get the rest of Web3 and all the YouTube space to start seeing what we're putting together. I think it's unique in this space, and it would be really cool to get a lot of eyes on it.
Look at that comment. Weeda's new PFP is Ava. Let's go.
That is so cool. I know. Awesome. But I saw a comment in here, and I want to answer it real quick. So there was a comment about, is this announcement of the apes? So yesterday, a sneak peek of this lore was released with an ape on it and a silhouette. And I saw a bunch of comments on Twitter about, oh my gosh, when is the minting? Is the minting going to be now? Do I need to worry about this? Christmas is coming up. So I just want to officially announce that the minting of the apes is not going to be in Q4. Okay. We understand this is family time. You guys have things to do with Christmas, the holidays. We would not do that. So it is not going to be in Q4. It is going to be in 2023. And part of that is because we have a lot to talk about. We've got sneak peeks like we did with the Bulls. So you guys have seen what the lore looks like, but you haven't seen the actual NFT yet. So that's coming. And then we've got to talk about the mechanics. I've talked about it on Tokenomics Tuesday. We've talked about it in other live streams. We have a very unique mechanic with the apes that is super cool. And we want to be able to dive into that just like we did with Tokenomics before we released the Bulls. We did, I think, almost 6 weeks of spaces to talk about specifically how the tokenomics work. We're going to do the same thing with the apes. We're going to talk about the tokenomics. We're going to talk about this mechanic that is super unique. So we're not going to just drop this in your lap. You're going to have time to learn and time to prepare. So don't stress out and get through the holidays, do what you need to do. And then we're going to revisit this and you guys will know what's going on.
Yeah, we're going to need the time to talk through the mechanics and figure everything out. Talk about it, just like you said, like the tokenomics with the Bulls. I mean, this is a whole nother level. It's so exciting. I can't wait.
Kelly O. Stanford says, you got to post this up here. If you see Kelly's comment, you got to post it up on the screen.
This one?
No. Oh, Tax Insurance, really. No, her other one. It's funny. Did you see her other one? I can't. Yeah, my family doesn't need gifts. Let's go.
Yeah, for gifts this year, everyone's getting apes.
Oh my God, that is so funny. Awesome, you guys. I don't know if we need to talk about anything else. We've been doing this for an hour now, but we've got some other business that we need to take care of, right? For crypto?
Yep. Yeah, we do. We got just a couple of things we're going to announce. And one of the big things that's been going on, Anthony, if you want to talk about the contest that we just wrapped up. The Unbelievable contest?
We did. We had almost about 500 entries into the Unbelievable giveaway. And if you remember, we're giving away a God Bull, an OG bull that's filled with meth, all breeds. You got a resurrected teen, and you got two regular teens. So 5 winners from this raffle. 500 people submitted entries. So thank you all for joining up. And it's this is a good one. This is a big one. So Her Crypto, I'll let you announce the winners.
Oh, I do the honors? Okay. Sounds great. Well, we have some amazing winners here. We're so excited. Congratulations to all of you guys. We'll go from the bottom to the top. How about that? We'll do the Teen Bulls up to the God Bull because that's the most exciting, I think. I'm excited to see who won that. So for the Teen Bulls, we have Wyatt and Charlie are the winners. Wyatt and Charlie. We will send an email. Your Twitter handle is @mulletman451 and @CharlieH_USA. Congratulations on your new teams. And then for our resurrected teen, so your team's going to be creating some methane token here. We got Big Mac Daddy in the house winning that resurrected teen. Congratulations. Now you don't have to send him to McDonald's.
There you go.
And our OG Bull winner, we have Nelson. Nelson won the OG Bull. Twitter handle is Crypto Reese, CRYPTONREIS. And finally, drumroll. God Bull winner, we have Leslie Samuel. Woo!
Let's go.
Congratulations. I am Leslie
That's
Samuel
awesome.
as your Twitter handle. So amazing. Congratulations, you guys.
Yeah, that's so cool, you guys. That was a fun contest, and it's awesome that we're getting these amazing utilities, amazing NFTs into our community's hands. I love that the community's getting to partake in this and win this. It's super cool.
I know, so exciting.
I was
But
super excited for, can I say something? Bullet
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
So he's somebody that I've been chatting with and telling him about Bulls and Apes. And I told him, you got to go enter this contest. We're giving away some super cool stuff. And then when I saw the email come out, I was so pumped to see his name on there. I couldn't believe it. I sent him a message. He's like, wait, what? What's going on?
That's
I'm
great.
like, you signed up for the newsletter. Go check it out. You're in there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
awesome.
great. So that's somebody you referred.
Yeah. So
Oh,
I was
that's
pretty
awesome.
Yep. So, and he didn't have a bull before?
No
Oh,
Bulls.
That is so cool.
So
You got
his
some
first
new
one.
community.
I was
That's
telling him
great.
about how to harvest the meth. We got to get that meth generation going right away. So
Excellent.
Yep. Super cool.
that is amazing. Wow, so cool. That's exactly why we ran the contest, and that's really great to be able to have someone like that. But it doesn't mean you don't still want to tell people to sign up for that premium alpha alert, because it is still the best way to get contacted and let you know what we're doing, what's going on. You'll know first when things go live, whether it's utilities or contests or
DC deals.
VC deal flow. Yeah, or like the IRL Godbull event that just got released today. So that's
Yep.
also out there. If you don't know, got to get those alerts.
Yes. And anything to do with the upcoming apes, you get on that list, you're going to get that inside track and get a preview or heads up. So make sure you get on that mailing list. And we have another chapter coming. We got 2 more chapters coming eventually. So guys, stay tuned. I know we're still digesting and thinking about 5 and 6.
I need like a month.
I know. Huh? So we'll be announcing. We're gonna give everybody a chance to talk about this, digest, and think about it. But those other chapters will be coming. So just stay tuned. It's oh my God, you guys. I'm tempted to, after we close this thing out, to go back and watch it again, because I'm like, I want to see. I want to see if I can find stuff.
I'm going to have to. And speaking of, we're going to get ready to close out. It's been a really great show, but I am going to rewatch it and then jump into happy hour in the Discord, and we can all keep chatting about what's been going on and what we've seen. Let's look for some Easter eggs, you guys. How about that?
Yep.
Thanks so much, HK.
Sounds good.
I hope you had a good time.
I had a blast. Thank you for inviting me. I was amped when you asked me. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Guys?
Yep. And
Anything
don't
else before we
forget,
head
go
out?
watch it again. No, just make sure you get in there on YouTube and go check this out and watch it again. Get those likes up on the new post that we're going to put in there of the native video itself.
That's right. All right, everyone. Have a good night. We'll
Thanks,
see you
everyone.
later.
Bye, guys.
Later.
See you later.
It all started with Genesis chapter 1. Human evolution, we travel to other suns. No confusion, revolutions, the bulls just having fun. Got the heart, got the horns, and ready for action. We're here in the 20